"Tonight," he whispered, "we're doing something different. A partner swap. Just for the night." My heart dropped. I looked into his eyes, searching for a hint of a joke, but his gaze held only anticipation. I was torn between trust and a sense of betrayal I hadn't expected. Little did I know that night would change everything between us. When my husband suggested partner swapping at a party, a shocking and unbelievable story of two couples, Maggie adjusted her dress as she scanned the lively, intimate setting of her husband's friend's house. She and her husband, Jack, had been married for 7 years, and though their relationship was stable, the thrill of their early romance had dimmed over time. When Jack's friend, Ethan, invited them to a special gathering, she hadn't thought much of it, just another party among old friends. Jack was deep in conversation with Ethan when Maggie noticed him looking at her with a strange intensity. She couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was in the air. As the evening wore on, Maggie found herself talking with Ethan's wife, Sarah, a confident woman with a magnetic charm that drew people in. Sarah leaned in conspiratorially, sharing a glass of wine, her eyes twinkling as if she knew a secret. Suddenly, Sarah looked at Maggie and said, "So, has Jack told you about the game we've all been talking about tonight?" Maggie felt her heart skip a beat. "No, what game?" Sarah's lips curled into a knowing smile. "It's an exchange. For one night, couples trade partners and experience something different. It's just a way to explore things beyond the usual." Her voice was casual, but Maggie sensed there was more to it than she was letting on. Maggie's pulse quickened as she scanned the room for Jack. Her mind raced. They had talked about adventure and trust before, but this was different. This wasn't a light-hearted thrill. This was real. And yet, she couldn't deny a certain curiosity. She looked over at Jack, and to her surprise, he was already watching her, as if waiting for her reaction. As they locked eyes, he approached her, his expression a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "It's just one night, Mags," he said gently, sensing her hesitation. "It doesn't mean anything. Just a way to see where we are with each other." After a moment's thought, she nodded, though her mind was torn. They agreed to go along with it, she with Ethan and Jack with Sarah. As the night unfolded, Maggie and Ethan found themselves outside under the soft glow of the moonlight. He poured her a glass of wine and held her gaze in a way that felt unexpectedly intimate. She could feel his warmth beside her as he spoke, his voice deep and calming, unlike the fast pace of her life with Jack. The evening air wrapped around them, creating an almost surreal moment of closeness. They talked about everything from dreams to disappointments, and for the first time in a long time, Maggie felt seen and heard. Ethan's attention made her feel special in a way she had nearly forgotten. With a quiet intensity, he took her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles over her skin. She felt a spark she hadn't felt in years, and before she knew it, they were leaning in, their lips meeting in a kiss filled with both hesitation and longing. It was a fleeting, stolen moment that left her breathless and confused. She pulled back, suddenly feeling a surge of guilt and a pang of fear. She hadn't expected to feel this way, to cross this line, even temporarily. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I don't know if we should." But Ethan just smiled softly. "Maggie, sometimes we don't choose these moments. They find us. Maybe this was just what we needed, even if just for tonight." Meanwhile, back inside, Jack and Sarah were in a quiet corner, talking over the music. Sarah's gaze was intense, her laughter lingering longer than it should have. Jack felt the thrill of attention, but his mind kept drifting back to Maggie, wondering how she was, if she was all right with all of this. When the party ended, Maggie and Jack shared a silent drive home. Neither said a word about what had happened, yet there was a charged tension between them, an unspoken question hanging in the air. That night, as they lay in bed, the quiet stretched out until Maggie finally whispered, "Do you ever wonder if we're still enough for each other?" Jack reached for her hand, his fingers interlacing with hers. "Maggie, I may have gotten caught up in the moment tonight, but what matters most is what we have. This was just a glimpse of something, but it doesn't change how I feel about you. Maybe we needed this to realize that She looked at him, her heart heavy, yet filled with relief. She knew they had both crossed a line, but she also knew that sometimes love was about finding each other again after drifting apart. They had wandered, only to realize that they wanted to be where they began, together. In the end, it was an experience neither of them would forget, a reminder that sometimes, even in moments of weakness, love can find its way back,